They were trained forest rangers, disciplined, experienced. The Black Forest was their home turf. But on a cold October morning in 1998, Matthias Kruger and Daniel Vogt set out to investigate a minor case of illegal logging and never came back. No distress call, no bodies, no signs of struggle. Weeks later, search teams found only one thing: Daniel's patrol vest, with a bloody body cam still clipped to the strap. The footage it contained has never been made public, but a leaked transcript, reviewed by local law enforcement and Forest Service officials, revealed something so unsettling. The entire case was buried. This is what really happened in the Black Forest. Matthias and Daniel were both seasoned members of the Baden-Württemberg Forest Protection Division. They'd handled everything from lost hikers to bear sightings to dangerous poachers. October 22nd, 1998 was supposed to be routine. A quick inspection run after several reports of chainsaw noises in a restricted section of forest near Freudenstadt. It was remote, a 4-hour hike in, with steep inclines and narrow ridgelines. But it was broad daylight. Weather was clear. Radios were working. Nothing seemed off until around 3:45 p.m. That's when Central Dispatch stopped receiving updates. Daniel's last recorded transmission was garbled. Just 2 words came through: "Still watching." Then silence. The search began that evening. Helicopters, K9 units, volunteers, dozens of trained professionals combed the forest for days. They found nothing: no gear, no tracks, no sign of a struggle. It was as if the 2 men had stepped off the trail and vanished into the trees. But then, on the 7th day, a search dog signaled on a thicket of brambles near a ravine. Hidden beneath the dense brush was Daniel Vogt's green patrol vest, torn slightly along the shoulder seam. Clipped to it, a compact body cam, low battery, blinking red. It had no visible damage, and it had been recording. The footage was approximately 18 minutes long. This is a paraphrased version of the transcript, compiled from those who viewed it before the file was seized and lost. The footage begins with Daniel and Matthias walking through thick undergrowth. The forest is unusually quiet. No birds, no insects, just wind through the trees and the occasional crunch of leaves. Daniel chuckles, whispering, "It's too quiet, like a horror movie." Matthias replies, "We're in Germany's most haunted forest. What did you expect?" They stop at a large pine tree with a deep gash in its bark, fresh chainsaw mark. Matthias bends to examine it. The cam shakes slightly as Daniel pans the view left. About 15 meters away, there's a small wooden carving mounted on a crooked post. Not official forestry signage. Daniel approaches it. It's a primitive human figure, arms outstretched, face contorted in a scream. Thin twigs jut from its head like antlers. "The hell is this?" he mutters. Matthias walks into frame, visibly disturbed. That's not from any ranger station. Might be hunters trying to scare people off. The cam cuts, briefly, likely from manual button press. When it resumes, it's clearly darker, twilight. Daniel and Matthias are now off the trail, flashlight beams scanning erratically. Breathing is louder, faster. Daniel whispers, "Something's wrong. We're going in circles." He pans the camera to the left. The same wooden carving is there, now hanging from a branch. Matthias says nothing, just stares at it. Daniel shines his flashlight into the woods behind it. A faint shape stands between the trees, not moving, no features visible, just the silhouette of a person, very tall, arms hanging unnaturally low. Daniel speaks, "Hello, you okay out there?" The figure vanishes, not runs, not walks, just gone in the next blink. The cam jerks violently as Daniel spins. Matthias is gone too. Daniel shouts for him, runs through brush, heavy breathing, flashlight beam shaking. He finds Matthias standing perfectly still near a clearing. He's staring up at the treetops. Daniel approaches slowly. "What are you looking at?" Matthias whispers. "It's not the trees." Daniel turns the camera up. Nothing is visible, just a thick canopy, swaying softly in the breeze. Then he swings the cam down, and the ground is covered in dozens of wooden carvings, all identical, all with mouths wide open and a silent scream. The clip ends with heavy static. The last audio heard is a faint whisper layered under the wind. Shouldn't have looked. The forest department closed off the area for safety and restoration. Matthias Kruger was never found. Daniel Vought's vest and body camera listed as missing evidence. And sometimes, just before sunset, you might hear voices in the trees, repeating the same two words over and over, still watching. They were experienced hikers, cautious, prepared. But there's one thing no GPS, no survival kit, no training can protect you from. A place that doesn't want to be found. Deep in southwest Texas, near the Devil's River State Natural Area, lies a remote trail known only by locals as the Deep Trail. It's unmarked, unsanctioned, and missing from most modern maps. Hikers who stumble onto it report losing time, hearing things, even seeing things they can't explain. Some were never seen again. In 2016, 3 friends went looking for the river. Only one came back, and what he told police was almost too bizarre to believe. In July 2016, best friends Logan Shaw, Trevor Ortiz, and Daniel Griggs set out for a 4-day hiking and camping trip near Devil's River, a rugged and notoriously remote area of Texas. The group was experienced. Logan had done Appalachian sections, Trevor was ex-military, and Daniel was a backpacking guide. They brought GPS, paper maps, radios, plenty of supplies. But they made one mistake, asking directions from a local who said the normal trails were crowded and boring. "You want real wilderness," he said. "There's a trail, not on maps. Locals call it the Deep Trail. River's cleaner there. But it ain't easy." They thanked him. They should have turned around then. Day 1, no issues. They found the entrance just past a rusted, half-buried fence post with a red bandana tied to it. The trail was overgrown, but walkable. They followed it for miles, set up camp in a clearing, and joked about how untouched the place felt. At night, it was completely silent. No bugs, no owls, just the wind. Day 2, first anomaly. They found a narrow canyon with a stream that shouldn't have been there. Trevor pulled out the GPS. It showed no elevation dip, no water source, and more oddly no movement. "It thinks we haven't moved in hours," he muttered. They shook it off, blaming reception. Later that afternoon, they found a stone altar in the woods. It was round, moss-covered, maybe 3 feet tall. At first they thought it was an old campsite structure, until they saw the carvings. Primitive human figures, twisted limbs, one with its mouth wide open, another had no eyes. Each had what looked like claw marks slashed across it. Logan laughed it off. Trevor didn't. He wanted to leave. They argued, decided to camp a few hundred feet away. That night, things changed. Daniel woke first, or thought he did. He claimed later that he felt paralyzed, eyes open, body locked. From the corner of the tent flap, he could see a figure crouched near the fire pit. Not moving, not cooking, just crouched. He thought it was Trevor, until he noticed the figure was naked, skin covered in black soot or mud, and breathing fast, like panting. Then it tilted its head and slowly turned toward the tent. Daniel blinked. It was gone. Day 3. They found deep gouges in the bark of nearby trees at shoulder height. Trevor swore someone, or something, had walked around their tent all night. He'd heard twigs snapping, whispering, like multiple voices repeating something in a language he didn't know. The GPS still showed no movement. Their radio only hissed static. And then Daniel found something strange in his pack. A handful of teethed human. He thought it was a prank. No one laughed. They decided to leave immediately. But the trail was gone, where there had been a clear path. Just yesterday was now thick brush, thorny vines, and no sign of the river or the canyon. They walked for 6 hours in a straight line, or so they thought, until they came right back to the same altar. This time, something had changed. A fresh line of red paint or blood had been drawn around it, a handprint smeared across the center. They didn't wait. Nightfall came faster. Trevor disappeared around dusk. Logan and Daniel heard him scream, not far, maybe 30 yards away. They ran toward the sound, found his radio, still warm, and what looked like drag marks into the woods. But the dirt was too loose to be sure. They called his name all night. Nothing answered. Day 4, Daniel and Logan tried again to hike out, this time climbing high ground for signal. At the ridge, Logan stopped suddenly. Daniel would later describe what he saw on Logan's face as pure, unnatural terror. Not fear, recognition. It's the same, Logan whispered. The same eyes, from my dream. Then he dropped his pack and ran. Daniel chased him, screaming. But Logan was faster. He vanished into the trees. Daniel was found 2 days later by a rancher nearly 15 miles south, dehydrated and delusional. He had scratches all over his body, no shoes, and a crude wooden charm clenched in his hand, shaped like a twisted human face. When asked what happened, he gave one answer: "We walked too deep." Daniel was taken to the local hospital in Del Rio. He was severely dehydrated, mildly concussed, and covered in scratches, many on his legs and forearms. Some were deep and looked like they'd been made with fingernails. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive, but Daniel didn't seem to feel lucky. He didn't ask about Logan. He didn't ask about Trevor. Instead, he kept repeating a single sentence: "It sees who walks in and keeps who looks back." Police interviewed him the next day. At first, they thought it was just shock, trauma, dehydration, hallucinations, until they looked into the deep trail. The authorities tried to locate Logan and Trevor. Search teams, dogs, drones, nothing. They sent a small team into the coordinates Daniel had provided. They found some shredded backpacks, a crushed metal water bottle, and one worn hiking boot half buried in mud. But no bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle, just scattered gear and strange symbols scratched into trees. One officer, who refused to be named, claimed they saw something not right while hiking in. "We came across this circle of trees, bark all peeled away, symbols carved in. It wasn't natural. And then the forest just got quiet, heavy, like something breathing behind your ears." The team cut their search short. 3 weeks later, a man walked into a gas station 80 miles north of Devil's River. No shoes, dirt-caked skin, hair matted, wearing only a shredded undershirt and boxers. He didn't speak. When they asked his name, he just stared. Eventually, when police arrived and tried to fingerprint him, he whispered, "Logan Shaw. Don't let it see me again." But the prints didn't match. Logan had a record minor trespassing charge at 19. Those prints were on file. This wasn't Logan. He looked like him, almost identical, but the fingerprints were wrong. Blood work showed something else. Unusual hormonal levels, as if the man had experienced weeks of extreme stress and starvation, but without the expected organ damage. When Daniel saw him, he turned white. "That's not Logan," he said. "That's what wore him." After months of silence, Daniel contacted a small group of folklorists who studied Native American and settler legends in the region. He described the altar, the dreams, the symbols. One elder, a Lipan Apache historian, told him this: "There are stories of watchers, spirits of places too old to have names. They don't like to be walked on. They don't like to be seen. But if you do, and they see you back, they take." He claimed some places were marked, kept off ancient trails for a reason, and that symbols like the ones Daniel saw were meant to bind things and not call them out. Daniel asked if it could be undone. The elder said, "Not unless it lets you go. Most don't. The deep trail is not listed on any park maps." The exact GPS location of where Daniel was found has never been publicly released, but hikers in that region still talk. Some say they found strange rock circles. Some hear breathing at night. Others say their GPS freezes or compasses spin wildly. And one man, a hunter, swore he saw a naked figure crouching behind a tree line at dawn. When he raised his scope, it smiled and disappeared. Daniel never returned to Devil's River. He moved to Oregon, changed his name, and refused all interview requests. In a podcast interview years later, the host asked him, "If you could go back and undo it all, would you?" Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "It already knows I did."